Hello and welcome to our podcast, Cozy Conversations with the Sister Project. I'm Lauren. And I'm Michelle. And we're so excited you stopped by for a visit. Come on in. Yeah, make yourself at home. We're two Midwestern sisters who love a good old-fashioned conversation and enjoy sharing our life experiences with one another and you. Consider this your one-stop shop for cozy, mindful well-being, along with some entertainment and lots of wheezy laughing. Oh, you bet there'll be a lot of that going around. Our goal is to live our coziest life and inspire you to do the same because the truth is, we think it's good for your mind and your body. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, let's get cozy. Well, hi there, listener, and welcome to Cozy Conversations with the Sister Project. I'm your host, Lauren, being joined by my sister and my cozy co-host, Michelle Anderson.
What's up, Lauren?
Hi, Michelle. Welcome back from Florida.
That's right.
Back in Chicago, rested. Just in time for Election Day here on recording day.
Yeah, I highly recommend going away with your girlfriends before an election like this. It really
that's actually a brilliant idea.
It was the timing of it all was impeccable.
Perfection. All right, you guys. So before we get into our cozy convo, we have some announcements and some links to share with you. We have some amazing speaking engagements coming up. The first one will be on December 3rd. So that's the one that will be happening this year, Embracing the Seasons at First Congregation Church in Western Springs. The link is in the bio. Please register. Please join us. We're talking a lot about kind of what we're talking about today a bit, but in person, and we would love to see you. And then on January 17th through the 19th, we have the Beyond Motherhood Summit. And then on January 24th through the 5th through the 25th is the Zen Parenting Conference. Links are in the bios, please, in the show notes. Please join us. There's going to be not just only us at some of these different events, but other incredible speakers that you want to sit in on and get some wisdom. Beyond that, we have an amazing review from Karen in Rhode Island.
Love that.
Michelle, take it away.
I certainly will. And Karen says that we're a cozy addiction. Just can't get enough. I was introduced to the Sister Project at the Zen Parenting Conference. What a treasure. So many great conversations with Lauren and Michelle. They feel like old friends and make me laugh out loud. The first thing I do on Thursday morning is make a cup of coffee and queue up the newest TSP episode. Simply the best.
With a heart.
Oh my God.
Karen.
The fact that people wake up in the morning on Thursday and put us in their ear just makes me,
Karen definitely doesn't have a 2-year-old toddler.
No, probably doesn't. Probably no toddler there. Seems like she's got a pretty nice ease in,
Karen, thank you so much. And wow, perfect. So yeah, it was great meeting you at the Zen Parenting Conference. Listener, if you have the time, take a moment and please leave us a review. You know how much they mean to us. And we love giving you guys shout outs on our podcast. Also, our new website is up and running. It is linked in the show notes. You guys, it is cozy season. The Hygge candle, the Cozy AF candle is for sale. You want to get them while they're hot. They will sell out. They make for a wonderful gift for anyone in your life. And lastly, we have merchandise coming out on November 15th. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. And you know what? We just love you and we hope you're taking good care of yourself this season. Go ahead and roll on into the conversation. We've got a lot to share with you guys. And as always, thank you for being an active listener on Cozy Conversations with the Sister Project.
You miss me?
Michelle, I miss a lot of things these days. We're going through it with Luna. Sometimes I miss, just freedom. Yeah, sure, I missed you. You'll just be in the bucket of things I miss.
Yeah.
But as I'm saying with my therapist, this is hard. This is just a phase.
Yeah.
And it's okay if sometimes I say, God, this sucks.
Yeah.
That's okay too. I have permission from the therapist to say sometimes it's okay to acknowledge this fucking blows.
Yeah, this is hard. I want to cry and suck my thumb in the corner.
Oh,
I don't like this.
Yeah, no. So
okay.
I missed you. I missed you.
I almost don't even want to tell you how amazing it was while I was gone.
Tell our listeners. You guys, Michelle went on her 4th annual Sip and Rip.
Yeah.
Which I really love the name of it.
And you know the meaning behind sip and rip, right? Do you know what it means? This is like our
Well,
tribe name. We've
you'd
talked
think
about
maybe
it.
like rip a bong, but I think
No,
we're ripping
it's
farts.
a gassier group. It's a gassier group. So we're sipping. So like today,
So you're
basically, if like,
sipping, you take a sip and you rip a huge fart. Is that
let
what
me
you
put
guys
it,
do out there?
let
This
me
is what
put,
you're telling me I'm jealous of?
let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. If there was a crest, okay, like if we had like a tribal crest,
Mm.
and it had like, and when you looked at it, you were like, oh, this is what would be on this crest would be Miller Lite cans. Okay.
Wow.
There would be emojis of the
Gas.
emoji of wind.
Yeah, the
Okay.
wind.
And then there would be women in a circle laughing, talking, listening, crying. That would be what you would gather from this said sip and rip crest,
I love
because
your crust.
I I love it. And I feel like after spending the 4 days with these ladies, my girlfriends that I met through a friend, her sisters in the group, it's a unique group because I, it's brought together a couple of different people. It is the most bucket filling,
Mm.
enjoyable, relaxing, um, escape for a moment situation. I mean, the tears, the laughs, the stories, the celebration. We celebrated Marcy, who is the host of this weekend away in Marco. We celebrated her 60th birthday.
Mm.
And one of my girlfriends had a company come to the beach, okay, and set up this little situation.
A picnic.
It
I've seen them all
was
over. It's like a thing.
I've never been to a picnic on the beach.
So it's basically these businesses will set up like a really cozy, chic picnic experience for you, or an outdoor eating, situation.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've never been. I mean, I've seen it, and I love that you got to experience that. How was it?
it was so it was adorable, and it made for great photos, but my favorite part was watching us celebrate our friend in her
Mm-hmm.
milestone birthday. That to me was the best part. There were so many moments though too, Lauren. Someone gave her, I think Jackie gave Marcy a gift of cards, like tarot, but a little bit
Mm.
different. And
Maybe they were
everybody
more like little oracle manifestation cards.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I actually have a list of all of the cool things we shared and
I
ate. And
love
so,
when you come home
and the
with the
list is as
list.
long as my arm. The list is
You
as long
guys,
as my
Michelle and
arm.
her friends like share and swap like secrets, and then
Oh,
she shares them in our newsletter.
oh no, we're all
This week's
influencers.
newsletter, sign up.
Sign up. And you know what? There's so many items. We're going to have to break it up in pieces, or maybe we'll have to do a special like list. It is epic. It is
Hmm.
epic. Go ahead. What were you
I was
saying?
just going to say, now that we have a new website and we will have our blog up and running, see, that's an easy spot to just put Michelle's 2024 sipping and ripping list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our website, by the way, while I was there, I was caught a couple of times when it became live staring at it because I felt like our baby was born.
You guys, Michelle worked really, really hard on this website. It's all of our things that we do are joint efforts, but like I will really spearhead the merchandise and our holiday merch, you guys, coming out. I think November 15th is so flippin' cute. Just wait. And that's kind of like my baby project. And then Michelle did the website, and the website looks fantastic. We're going to be linking it in our show notes, you guys. This is where you can leave. You go into the podcast tab. You can leave recommendations for topics that you'd like for us to talk about. You can pop a review there if you want. You can suggest a guest. If you are a small business, you can work with us. I mean, it's just, we finally have a space that is aligned with our new brand and our look, and it feels
It's
really fucking good. It's a makeover.
it's
It's a makeover.
it's
We got a
stunning.
makeover.
It's like the interface. It's so easy to use. And shout out to our web designer Evan because he fucking hit it
Yeah.
out
Evan's
of
the best,
the
man.
park.
Easy to work with.
Never. I did not imagine that it would be as effortless as it was to create something with somebody who is
And who
literally
knew what they're
clear.
doing?
But also shout out to our graphic designer who created the most incredible, like this was just not us. I mean, this process took
Like a
multiple
year.
people in a very long time
Yes.
because we're a two-man band, you know, even
Look
though
what
I
we get
just said
done,
there are other
baby.
people, but look at what the hell we do. Anyway,
Wait, I want to piggyback something you were talking about your incredible trip you took with your girlfriends. First, I think it's wonderful when women travel together. There's something really special about that.
it's the best.
It's really wonderful. And last night, so speaking of like women celebrating women supporting women, I'm in bed last night. You guys, we are recording on November 5th. It is election day. Godspeed. Last
Stay
night,
cozy,
I mean,
stay
I've been
cozy,
captured by it.
stay
I
cozy.
have been, yeah, stay cozy. I have been hijacked by the election. I'm really like clocked in and tuned in. We're going to do something tonight to get us out of that. We're going to go to dinner to our favorite little restaurant in Lincoln Park just to not be on phones and devices because we know that for the rest of the evening after we put Luna down, we will be.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I find myself on Threads and you know how I feel about Threads. Like when the DNC was in town, there was so much love for Chicago and Michelle, listener, you have to hear this. I suddenly see like, actually, I shared it. The first thing I saw, which I was like, wow, I did not expect to see this, was a woman on Threads writes, come on, ladies, bring it home, cheering you on from Finland. And I was like, oh, wow, people are really kind of like
All
supporting us
eyes,
and
all eyes
all
on
eyes
us.
are on us. And, what I'm seeing, and then, okay, so then I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. So then I keep scrolling. And then there was just like, it was almost like a copy paste. It was like, Norway has entered the chat. Bring it home, ladies. You can do this. We're watching. We're celebrating you. We're cheering you on. We support you.
That
And then
feels
it was
nice.
Zimbabwe has entered the chat. And then all different parts of the world I've never even heard of before. Deutschland has entered the chat. And it's just women saying, we are watching. We are cheering you on. And before I knew it, I had tears rolling down the sides of my
Oh
face
my
because
God.
that was so powerful.
That's the energy the
Again,
ladies
Threads,
bring.
the feel good thread app is just where it's at. It
It
just,
really does seem like the coziest of apps, doesn't it?
oh, it is.
Threads
It
is the
literally,
coziest of all
I
the
mean,
apps.
I scrolled past, I mean, there were hundreds, thousands of women. I did not personally see that because I didn't spend that much time on it, but it's out there of women cheering us on and it tells you something. When I saw that, I'm like, people are watching, hoping that history goes in the direction that it has to go. And
Hmm.
we have a Madam President. And, it was really, I needed that before I went to bed last night. And I don't know. It was just one of those things. There's another thing on Threads that made me laugh. It said, "America is having a gender reveal tomorrow. Let's hope it's a girl."
That's actually
Someone
hilarious.
asked another funny thread was, "Hey, what are you up to tomorrow?" And someone wrote benzos, just popping pills.
Oh
So
my
the
God.
humor and the hope is there. And sometimes that's what keeps you going. It's like being
Hmm.
a toddler mom. You got to have humor and you got to have hope. The phase you're in fucking stops at some point.
Well, and that's like the thing, taking it back to the ladies and the women in your life, like even on these trips when you're going and spending time with your friends, people are going through things. Friends are there that have lost their sis. One of my friends lost
No.
her twin
Oh,
this
I'm gonna throw
year.
up. Nope.
Okay. And you know what?
Whew.
And she's in the grief stage,
Yeah.
but she showed up and she was in it with us and we were there and we leaned on each other and raised each other up and made each other laugh and
Amazing.
listened. And that's what women do.
So let me tell you something. The other day I had a really, God, I just got to say that our podcast is segueing seamlessly because going from what you're talking about, how friends talk to one another and are there and present for one another. I was in the deeps the other day. Basically, you guys, Luna's just going through it with her sleep. It's hard. It's actually really, really hard. And sometimes I find myself struggling with it. Therapy is helping. And then I was getting ready for the day. And like Anthony had Luna downstairs and I was like in my tall mirror getting dressed. And this is what I did. I started talking out loud to myself. I said, okay, Lauren, if you were your friend calling you up what would you say to them? Because you wouldn't be saying all these sad darkness places where you're feeling
Woe
like,
is
oh, the
me.
olden
I'm in
days
the
were so much
deeps.
better. Yeah, going in the deeps. So I started talking to myself as if I was calling a friend on the phone. I was like, you're doing a really fucking good job. And also, it's really hard what you're doing. Like, give yourself some credit. You're also running a business. Be kind to yourself. I was saying all of these things that a friend would say to me. And
Smart.
it
Shifted.
flipped my motherfucking script.
Yeah.
So every day I have
Smart.
to be my own best friend.
I mean, the mindset
so I don't
shift.
lose it.
Well, and you know what? And you are going to lose it one here and there. And that's also okay too, because as I've said, we have a threshold and they will break you.
Wait, so I know, I'm just glad that you're saying break you like that, because sometimes I feel like like when you get broken, when you come up from it, sometimes I look like that Chris Farley meme where he's like coming out of, I don't know if it's from.
Let me put it, I know exactly what you're talking about, but the breaking you, let me put it this way.
Yeah, come on.
When a
Fill in
kid
the people that don't have the kids so they can think real hard about decisions.
When your tiny terrorist pushes
That's what
you.
I told Anthony she's holding us hostage.
Pushes you to the limits, you feel the exact opposite of the way I felt walking off the beach with my girlfriends for 4 days straight.
You feel depressed and sad and dark and lonely
and like Chris Farley in that one movie.
I'm so glad that you can relate to this, only because sometimes I'm like, is this abnormal for how hard this moment? No, you're right.
But imagine, and also I'm going to take you to another place and I'm going to catapult you into another space. So you're in a situation for yourself professionally where you can control your experience. Okay. You have
like
a baby.
My work day?
Yes.
Yes.
And you and I have an understanding. We're both moms.
You are exceptionally patient and understanding.
And we get it. Okay. There are a bazillion people that have children. I did it and I went and I was expected to bag, the expectation of this when you are working in a situation where others don't know what it's like to manage and mother and handle sleepless nights and slow, like fuses as short as a Vietnam vet's, but the expectation to show up and deliver still exists. You are in a better place for carving out the space that you have made for yourself today. So
thank you.
Boom.
That helps a lot, because you're right. I don't have to answer to like some scary boss man or a woman that's going to like chop my face off and threaten my job.
You're allowed to have a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you.
You're welcome.
I also saged the shit out of my house. And if I can give you guys one recommendation to clear your home, get a sage bundle, light that bitch on fire, and walk around your house. I was literally like in her bedroom with the windows open being like, Luna needs to sleep better tonight. So if there's any ghosts from Halloween lingering, time for you to go now. We're done. Game over. Well, so that helps.
I have to say, like, even though I know that you guys are being put through the ringer right now and getting through this phase, whatever, but your energy, I'm feeling, you're good.
But
Michelle,
you're in a good headspace. 25 minutes ago, I told Anthony that I envisioned life on the
leaving
beach.
The family.
What? Anthony calls me Gone Girl. He's like, are you going to Gone Girl us? And I would never leave my family. But, but I will say that I go to the dark side, but I'm much quicker to snap back.
Good.
And I think that's like resilience. And I think, as my therapist says, it's okay. We're working, my therapist and I are working very closely on flipping the narrative and the words and the thoughts that go through my head. And also acknowledging them and saying like, okay, that was a little intense. Like, let's move on from that now. And also understand why it's making me feel that way. Therapy.
And you know what? Even if you don't want to spend that much time delving into the why on this one, because I'll tell you why, because you're a fucking human. Okay. We all have our limits. You're tired. And that's it. Period. End of story. There doesn't need to be a big, grand
we're not
reason.
like trying to discover. It's not like the Da Vinci Code of why. It's just figuring out so I can let that thread in other aspects of my life when I get, for the lack of better words, emotionally triggered, exhausted, whatever you want to call it.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
The 90% of the trick here is how you talk to yourself in the moment.
Sometimes I feel bad for Anthony because he has to deal with both of us sometimes.
Well, lucky for him, and he's the most patient person on planet Earth.
He is.
So, and
I got lucky with
that's
him.
how I am. That's how Ryan is. Well of patience.
Oh,
You got to
bless.
really push him to push him. Takes a lot.
Yeah, you're right. And when I do push him, I can't even be like, "Ugh." I just have to let him have that.
And same with Ryan, when he's pushed, I'm like,
sorry, I guess I
scary.
went too far.
God, quarterly blast off. So sorry. I have
quarterly.
12 a
It's
day.
like, sorry, it's been 3 months.
Yeah.
You're due
That's
for
time
one.
for your autumnal response, negative response.
So, real quick story. I had to go to the dentist yesterday for kind of like a procedure for a tooth. So I have one crown in the back. I must have had a root canal. This was years ago. The dental hygienist did tell me that what I'm doing, everything else I'm doing, like this wasn't even,
Wait,
this
tell
was
me,
just
what
like,
are you
it needed
doing?
a little, like, it just needed a facelift.
A tune-up.
It needed a tune-up. It wasn't like we've got an issue. It was, I had the best case scenario for having to put a new crown on that had a tiny little cavity underneath. My dental hygienist, she asked, they're like, are you brushing and flossing every day? I'm like, well, of course I am. And at the end of my thing, she's like, so I can tell that you are actually taking very good care of your teeth. And I was like, thank you. And then she was like, cause like some people will say like, oh, I floss every day. And as a dental hygienist, I can tell if you're not flossing. And I'm like, okay, I'm obsessed right now. So, and she was like, and people don't realize if you don't take like how dental health can play a role, brain health, other kinds of health. So we got to talking about that. But in any case, I don't know.
I just wish when they were little and when they start, it's again, there's so much. I wish there was more information that led with not just brush your teeth.
No,
don't
I wish
eat
like
sugar.
so in 40 years,
like,
so your brain is healthy.
It was like let's have an hour meeting with an informative person that's going to explain the mechanics of what happens with that. Would be so helpful.
But that's what we have to do as parents at this point to like teach our kid.
Yeah.
Like let's take a little 20-minute moment with the hygienist when you can understand and talk about health, teeth health. So, I love my dentist. I go to Dr. Ponzio over in like Oak Parkish, right by Elmwood Park. And I'm blown away by two things. So like I was at a moment during my appointment, it is so medieval because he's like fisting my mouth. I've got a suction on the other end and the noise is like a construction drill banging your head away. Okay. So, I mean, he's drilling through metal because the old crown I had like a little metal in it. Oh, it was violent, but he's amazing. He's like, it's coming off like butter. Don't worry. I'm like, butter?
And you're not numb for this. You're just
get one. I got like a little Novocaine just to kind of like ease anything, but it was all good. No pain whatsoever. It's all just very sound, sensory driven. And any case, he gets the crown off. If anyone out there that has veneers or crown, that little stub underneath is no fun. So weird.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like a little tooth underneath.
Because it's drilled down and then there's like a cap on it.
Oh, it's so weird. And my two front teeth are veneers. So they're kind of they're like they'd be like little rabbit teeth if mine. So weird. But then after he does this like medieval removal of my crown, he brings out this badass machine where it does 3D imaging. So instead of putting the gunk in your mouth and taking a big bite like how you used to, and you have to like open your mouth.
You're
like
talking
Jim
about
Carrey.
Are you talking about the fluoride?
No, I'm talking about, so you've never done this. If you need any dental work, any crowns or veneers.
Oh yeah, no, I've done that for braces.
Okay,
yeah, they put the mold
so
in.
they take the impression of your teeth. That's how they have always done it for me.
Yeah,
well,
gag nation.
Gag. Oh, and it's so weird.
I'm like, it's going down. I'm gonna die.
Are you ready for this? He's like, we got something. I'm like, so when am I getting in my crown? He's like, oh, in like 45 minutes. We're gonna make it in the lab. I'm like, what? Michelle, he comes in with it's like a wand. And he's got like this little computer rolly next to him. He comes in with a wand and and it's beeping. He's like, beep, 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 beep. It's taking 3D images of my entire mouth. And when I look over, my mouth is on the screen. That's sending an image to the lab.
So like a 3D printer.
Like a Willy Wonka button and a crown pops out.
Did an Oompa Loompa come to you with your new crown?
They should have like a special delivery.
Orange as hell with the whitest teeth.
The juxtaposition of like pulling a tooth versus like the new mold, like the new imaging is just so amazing.
Nice. That sounds nice.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, any locals, if you need a new dentist, just obsessed with like I love a good medical facility that has high end, modern, like Dr. Carrie John from and West End Vision.
Oh yeah.
Her shit's all new.
Yeah, it's real shiny and nice. That stuff does the job. Real beep. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
I love that. That's when I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll pay a couple extra dollars for modern equipment. So that is what my week's
Dr. Carrie
been.
John's probably like, couple extra dollars. I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Ophthalmologist
And
or
yeah.
optometrist in LaGrange, if you guys need one, that's you want to see. She's got great frames too. So yeah, that's that. I've been, next week I get a wisdom tooth
God, you're
pulled. So
really
I'm kind of going through it a little bit, but you know what?
so
I'm going to be okay.
so
I'm
you
going to
got
be
a
okay.
crank, your
After
baby's
tonight,
giving
who
you a
knows
run.
really what my mood's going to be like.
I'm
So
honestly just keep on working on the mantras and the good positive talk
I am
because
calm.
you've
I
got a
choose to
lot,
remain calm,
because there's a lot coming your way.
dude. So, I feel like a lot of people also can maybe feel like they're going through it a lot. We've got the elections, we have daylight savings time. So that's kind of what I thought we would talk about today, because I know a lot of people go through it when it starts to get like darker. And I found
Yeah.
these two awesome articles. One's from Nat G, the other one is from Time Magazine. And it talks about how the early darkness can be good for your mental
Well-being.
health,
Hell yeah.
brain health. And I was like, oh, this is right up my alley.
Bring it.
And so
Bring it.
we're talking about well, it also has to do with mindset as well. It has to do with a little bit of a flip of the script. Like, how are you going to change your routine, your day a little bit? Because it's getting dark at like 4:35 around here, man. Sometimes I take my walk at 7 o'clock when it's not
Pitch
dark
black.
and it's pitch black.
Yeah.
They talk about that in both of these articles, that sometimes the early dark hours make people feel like the things that go bump in the night feels like maybe urban areas are more dangerous. And I will say, yeah, I lean into that a little bit. You have to be mindful because, yeah, when it gets darker, shit can happen. But it is about being like, okay, but really, like you can still go outside when it's dark outside.
I mean, I was going to say, we
In the
could be
city, it's
like
a
the
little
world's
different.
biggest scaredy cat, 100%. You have to be mindful
Oh, I
and
mean,
vigilant.
in the
But
suburbs, I would go walk in the woods with well, maybe not. Would you walk in the woods when it's
no,
dark? That's a little
not
spooky.
alone, not alone.
But
But
with a headlamp, would you?
no,
No. So no
no,
walking in the woods.
no. Sometimes I walk and I'm not scared to walk in the woods. I walk in the woods
So
alone
then why
all
don't
the
you?
time. The night, when I walk in the woods in the daytime, sometimes I see something in the woods that looks like it could be like a bear, even though I live in Illinois.
Yeah,
And I jump a little bit, but the nighttime, I'm good. I'm a day walker.
You're a day walker. You're a day
I'll
walker.
walk around my neighborhood at night all day long, or night
Yes,
long.
yeah, and I'll do that too, like in our neighborhood. But you know what? Whatever. I mean, I honestly, it's that's the point of this article is how do you talk to yourself when it comes to the dark time? And one of my favorite parts of the article, I think it was the Nat G one, they talk about how darkness can boost your creativity. So one of the main things they talk about is putting your phone away and going on a walk like at nighttime and experiencing the dark sky. They talk a lot about light pollution and how that has taken a lot of the kind of therapeutic or medicinal aspects away from experiencing the dark time. I mean, I live in a city, so there's a lot of light, but in my little park, in my little nook, it gets pretty dark over there. And it is a gift. You're walking around and they talk about how the darkness changes the mode of your mind and your life. It's like being outside sun versus night, right? Like both have their benefits and both react differently within the body. And the other thing about being outside during the nighttime is the absence of your phone, hopefully, is the idea. You're not staring at your phone while you're walking. So you're also getting more aligned and in sync with your circadian rhythm because now it's dark and you're going to put your phone away and you're going to prepare your mind and body for darkness. So you're intentionally leaning into the fact that the body is starting to wind down. And then creativity came up. And they talk about creativity where it's a great opportunity to get your mind to wander is when you start leaning into the darkness, putting your phone away, maybe getting outside for a little bit or reading or doing things that you would typically do at nighttime, only earlier, because again, it's a little darker. And letting your mind wander. I've read a lot about the benefits of mind wandering. Have you done any reading on that? Daydreaming,
no, but like
imagining.
daydreaming, yeah.
It's really good
something
for you.
I was really good at back in the day. I mean, still am. I do it. I find myself, Ryan and I'll be driving and he'll look over and he'll be like, "What's going on over there?" And I'm like, if you only knew what was going on in my brain right now.
And they mentioned, like they said in the article, like, why do you think that before theaters or productions, they close the lights, draw the curtains, and they prepare the theater for a creative moment,
Hmm.
something to be seen and felt and experienced? And that was something I really walked away from that conversation with, because I love going to the theater and I love when everyone starts getting quiet, because it is this respite of being lively, being engaged in maybe the person next to you, or if you're looking at your phone or book, and then you take a beat.
It's like all of the things that you're seeing and watching and hearing in a darker space appeals to the senses in a different way. It feels different than if you were staring at the sun. You know,
Yeah,
it's a
or at like a sports arena, of
mhm.
engaging in a different kind of experience. Like the theater offers a cozy experience. You're like in a nook with a bunch of people, a creative experience, and it's slower paced. You're not rushing, you're not looking, you're rude if you're on your phone. So that's not even an option. It really is an opportunity to kind of tap in with the creative side and experience a play or whatever it is that you're watching, which, by the way, I'm so excited to see A Christmas
I
Carol.
mean, you just talking about seeing a play the way you were, I was thinking,
I
I
know.
cannot wait to
Goodman
get in
Theater,
there.
you guys, it's a new Scrooge this year. After like
What?
16 years, Larry Yondo is no longer Scrooge,
What?
who
We
is my
saw him as
favorite.
last as at his last Scrooge
I did. I
run.
didn't
Very
know it was going to be his
cool.
last. So you guys, I just did a couple quickie research to see like what are the benefits in depth of of experiencing this darkness earlier. Because here's the thing, we can either sit and bitch about it, or we can feel like, okay, what can we
Hmm.
do to lean in and walk away benefiting from? So of course, rest and relaxation. The earlier onset of darkness can signal the body to wind down, promote more relaxed evening routine and a better sleep hygiene. So whatever that might look like for people, like, for me, I'm actually going to go to the next one. The next benefit is actually a cozy atmosphere. The longer evenings can create an ambiance, making it a great time for indoor activities like reading, cooking, and enjoying family time. Something that I like to do is I usually have a candle lit all day long, but it's almost like the black flame candle, like a witch's candle. Like it goes on and up at the moment that it gets dark
Oh yeah.
outside. And it just
Yeah.
adds a cozy dimension to my space. And you guys, I've said it once and I'll say it every fucking season. When you're at Trader Joe's, go get yourself a white pillar candle, unscented, light that bad bitch up at like 4:30. And I want you to notice, put it in a hurricane, let it stand
Mine
freestanding if you don't
is,
have kids or pets.
you can't see it if you're not watching us, but mine's flickering behind my left
Yeah.
shoulder.
And I promise you, like hand to Bible, that you will experience an uplift in your mood with that candle lit. It just does something. Take it, my word for it, and then write me in. Increased productivity. For some, the darker evenings can enhance focus, allowing for uninterrupted work or study time. Of course, it opens up seasonal activities. And with the holidays coming about, earlier dark, it gives you a good opportunity to maybe like sit and like create that Christmas list, like after you do what you got to do for the day, and kind of just lean into that moment in time. Mental health, for some, the change can provide a sense of routine and comfort during the shorter days, especially if they enjoy winter. And that's something, and nature awareness as well. The changing of the seasons are obviously we both echo one another with how much we love the change
Yeah.
of seasons. And now that it's going to get colder and darker, we want to remind you that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. If you are out and about walking when the sun is bright, you will reap the benefits of cold air, of that darker kind of moment in space. Get outside even when it's cold,
You know,
because you will reap the benefits of it.
I recently read, and we know this, like putting yourself in change of temperatures where it's a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler. That's actually better. That's actually good for your health.
Yeah.
We live in comfortable, our houses are at the perfect 68 degrees. We're always either warm and cozy, or it's a
Yeah.
little
Shock the system a
cold.
little bit.
When your negative mind starts to lead with, "Ugh, I don't want to, this is too cold," whatever, flip the script and lead with it's time for my dose of my blast of cold air for
and fresh
well-being.
air and breathing fresh air outside.
Mm.
When I used to teach a 5 a.m. class at the yoga studio back in the day, it was freaking freezing outside. I mean, it was cold in Chicago and the studio was right up against the lake. So it was extra cold, that wind blast. And we're all in there like it takes a few minutes to get that chill out. And this woman walks in. I mean, she blasted through the doors and we're like, oh, wow, hi. I'm like, oh, it's cold out there. And she goes, it makes me feel alive. And I was like, and that was years ago. And I saw her and the way she expressed that feeling. And I'm like, and I'm borrowing that.
Yeah.
So get outside when it starts to get cold and have that sense of, hey, you're alive.
Adventure.
You feel that freaking
Totally.
frigid cold.
Breathe it in.
Yeah. So we would love to hear from you guys. If you have thoughts on what you do during these darker hours. In fact, Michelle, I didn't get to ask you, what are your favorite rituals? Speaking of rituals, what do you bring back in during this time of year?
Well, I feel like I turn into like one of the sisters in Little Women because as soon as dinner's done and I dry off my last soup pot, I look at my family and I say good night and I walk upstairs. If there's no soccer, if no one's driving anywhere, I am upstairs in my bed at 7 o'clock. And to your point,
You're Grandpa Joe from
I'm Grandpa
Willy
Joe.
Wonka.
I'm Grandpa Joe. And to your point in what you had talked about previously about increased productivity, I'm not necessarily, I feel this because I'm not necessarily going up there to turn in. I'm going up there with, I've got a book, I've got my Kindle, got my planner, my laptop. I've got an assortment.
Yeah, you're doing a different kind of productivity.
I'm doing an assortment and
enjoyment.
I don't do that in the summer months.
Yeah, why is that? Isn't that
because
interesting?
We're out, we're enjoying the
warmth. How about it? That is such a great way to get into it.
And I'm just like a little squirrel up there with all my media.
You are a freaking squirrel.
And sometimes I don't look at any of it. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to watch a movie because I'm up here. Why not? And other times I'm like, let's do this. And it's delightful.
Do you have a candle burning in your bedroom with you?
Sometimes, okay. But it's usually lamp. It's lamp lit. It's chill, beds.
I love lamp.
Perfectly made. If there's clothes, if I'm doing this, if there's clothes on the dresser, Ryan's going to be like, yeah, right. Those clothes have been sitting there for 2 weeks. It feels like, but like, I like to get it real organized, like true ADHD.
Well, I want to get my space clean. If I'm gonna bed rot,
I'm not gonna lay in a shithole.
No, I have to have all clothes put away.
Nothing relaxing about that.
But if I'm like, those clothes will stay there if there's no bed rotting to be had. If I'm just like getting in bed, getting out of bed, like I'm just like surviving.
Totally.
But if I get that intentional BR, I am totally cleaning and then squirreling up.
100%.
I love that you said you're like one of the Little Women sisters.
Yep. I just put on my little bonnet and my nightgown and I head on up. Good night with my little lamp, with my candle, with my little good night.
There is a great video going around of Courtney Cox. She's on the telephone and she's like, hi, I'd like to make an order. And she's like, hello. And the phone like goes dead. And she's like, and it's basically like what happens when your Wi-Fi goes down and she's got a bonnet on with she's holding a candle.
I saw it.
And she's like, and then she's milking a cow.
I totally saw it. That was hilarious.
She's doing some fun stuff on social media lately. All right. So, reading, watching, listening to, I got a good quickie real quick, you guys. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Midnight Library by Matt Haig.
I love him.
Haig. He has a book out called The Comfort Book.
Yeah. What's this?
I was at a freaking bookstore over the weekend.
Getting cozy.
It's a The Comfort Book. I'm like, what's this about? So I grabbed it and I thought maybe it was going to be like a Hygge cozy book. It is mental mindset Hygge cozy book. It's for your brain. It's for your mental health. It's for your well-being. It is a collection of notes that he has taken, quotes, inspiration from other thought leaders, prominent thinkers, and he has collected what has helped him. I did not realize that Matt has suffered from anxiety and depression and has gone through some dark days. And he is sharing with his readers glimpses into what helps him mindset shift himself. And I have to say, this is a book that every woman, every person, every human should have. It is just filled with wisdom and nuggets. You can read it cover to cover. You can open it up and read a passage. It's like that kind of book. And you will be able to implement some of his notes immediately into your life. The Comfort Book.
I love it. I feel like we need to get him on the podcast. Let's
I would
add him
love
to the
to.
list. Let's
I
add
would
him.
love to.
I have a book up here that I read. Is it called The Midnight Library?
Yes, that's the one. That's his. Midnight
Yeah.
Library. Did
Yeah.
you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
How
looking for it.
our
I loved
friend
it.
Bridget
I
McGuire loves
loved
that
it.
book.
I can't find it. I
So
can't find it.
this is Secret Santa stocking stuffer. If you need a book for someone, a gift for someone, I
Yeah.
highly recommend this as a book to gift to anybody. It's beautiful. Absolutely
Love that.
beautiful.
Great hot tip. Love that, Lauren.
Michelle, have you finally finished Hamilton?
I have. And
oh, good. You have.
It's called My
It's been
Dear
a journey.
Hamilton. It's been a journey. It took me a long time. It was a long book. I kind of eased my way through. It took me a minute to get into it. And I said when I finished it in Florida on the pool deck, I proclaimed this was one of the best books that I have ever.
Top 5, top 10?
I have top 5.
Wow.
Required reading, and just got me in the headspace that I need to be in for this election. It was just so many reminders of what this country was built on. But there was a quote that I want to share.
Okay.
At the end of the story, Elizabeth Schuyler, just she is dedicated her life to making sure that Alexander Hamilton's memory was not forgotten.
Is this the author?
This is the author and his wife. Okay. And, he had extramarital affair there. He did some things. And she talks about in this book how a person, she was talking to her son who struggled with this when he learned what his dad was not what he had thought he was, but he always was an amazing person. But she told her son, we cannot measure people. This isn't even the quote, but she said, we cannot measure people on the one terrible thing they've done or the only great thing they've done. We have to measure people on the life and the things that they have done. And what he did throughout his life for our country would have been forgotten and buried by his political opponents and the people that wanted to write history in a way. Had she not, things were getting buried. And so at the end of the story, she is at an event and they are honoring people. And one of the people that is being honored is Alexander Hamilton. So she lived, I think probably she was 80 at this point, into her 80s. And she was getting off of a carriage and Congressman Lincoln puts his hand out to take her.
As in Abraham Lincoln.
Yes. And it just makes the hair stand up on my legs. It's really fabulous. So in this exchange that Eliza is having with Congressman Lincoln, he shares a quote that Hamilton actually said. And it goes like this: every man who loves liberty ought to cherish in his heart a due attachment to the Union of America. And that stood with me for a moment in times that we're in. So I looked it up. I was like, let's break this down. Help me out, ChatGPT. And what I got was that this line reflects the beliefs often voiced in the early years of the United States that true freedom depends on a unified country. Mm-hmm. Congressman Lincoln was likely emphasizing to Eliza Hamilton the idea that individual liberty, something deeply valued in America, relies on the strength and the unity of the nation as a whole. And when I read that, and as we're sitting here on election day, and likely this is released when we will know who our next president is, the union is the thing that we need to get back to. And I hope that that's the direction that we are heading in.
Absolutely.
Because it's vital.
Thank you for sharing that quote, by the way. That gave me goosebumps. And just thinking about Abraham Lincoln just having a chat with Eliza. And I also thought of another good quote, and I don't know if who said it. We'll say it's anonymous, but behind every great man is a strong, badass woman. And there's Eliza just doing her thing, she
was a strong, badass woman.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I'll say right here, I think if Donald Trump were elected president, there's such a huge division. It's so divisive feeling that I don't know, we will have to really work hard to ever get back to this place that Abraham Lincoln is speaking about. Yeah. And we have the opportunity for someone to actually somehow try to find a way to bring us all together. And we see that happening because we do see people who have voted Republican for years and years and years saying, you know what, I'm aligning with this messaging, with this message of hope. Mm-hmm. Hope. And when there's a message of hope versus a message of hate, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I just want to dive head fucking first into the hope
Into
pool.
the bucket of hope. And it goes back to what we talk about, I feel like, on every fucking podcast: mindset. And if you lead with fear, and if you lean into that space and are not okay with, if you lead with fear, it's going to be scary. But if you
Yeah.
lean into hope and
Yes.
believe that there's goodness out there,
Yes.
I think that as a collective, this will start to form. But we're
Hope and
gonna,
empathy. Hope and empathy.
we shall
Those,
see.
those two together can really work some magic. Okay, moving on to watching.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Michelle text messaged me while she was in Florida and she was like, "Can you watch the Martha documentary?" And right away, the answer was yes. I am a
Oh.
Martha Stewart fan, and I knew that this was a good recommendation from
Oh my
Michelle.
God. And this, watching this brought me back. I had some mom moments. I
Mom.
had some mom
Mhm.
moments.
So
Yeah.
this documentary features and obviously is about Martha Stewart, and it's literally from birth to now and how she got to where she is now, why she's best friends with Snoop, what her experience like in prison was like, how her husband had cheated on her, how she smooched someone else on her honeymoon.
And also had an extramarital affair.
Yeah. Let's put it
So
this
many
way.
things.
Martha is a ruthless, brilliant, hardworking, doesn't give a fuck businesswoman and woman.
Mhm.
And honestly, another thing I saw on Thread last night, someone wrote like, "So yeah, after seeing Martha, I think I can be a little bit more savage myself these days."
Oh my
Like,
God.
because
she blew my mind.
she blew my mind. Okay, so talk about a queen of reinventing yourself. She started her professional career as a model because she's beautiful. And as a young woman, her neighbors caught sight of her, whose daughter modeled, and they're like, "Hey, Martha, why don't you come make a few bucks?" She was making $15 an hour.
She was kind of supporting her family.
Yep,
for a
she
bit.
was giving her paycheck to her parents. And then she went from that, and then she became a stockbroker and made a shit ton of money.
And kicked ass. And
And she was like one of the only women there.
Yep.
And people, even
and they loved her.
The dudes were like, "There were no women in here." And she was like, "You guys, I'm not even going to share what was going on in the backseat of taxis." And I'm like, "Oh, I love it." The debauchery. And then she became Martha Stewart. She reinvented herself. Yeah, she got married, had a kid, and basically they bought this really cool farmhouse. I think they called it Turkey Hill. And she started a catering business that blew up. And she became Martha Stewart. She got in trouble. She goes to prison and she meets new lows. She kind of just fades away. And then she joined a roast for Justin Bieber. And that's when
Everything
Martha
changed.
Stewart was back again.
Mhm.
And I felt so pumped up while watching. I was like, yes, finally, we're really hearing about a woman who lived and did business and treated others kind of like a man, just bossing people around, had really good ideas. And, she was the first billionaire woman. And it was, and she's still that way. Like when you talked, when she's talking on camera, she's got this edge about her. This I don't give a fuck.
And you want to know what?
I am, and I like it.
And people tried to throw her under the bus. If any dude talked and managed business, and they do the way Martha did, it would have been, no one would have heard anything. But she that was held to a different standard because she was a fucking badass woman.
I mean, is she spicy at times? The way she speaks to people, yes, she is.
Figure out what knife to use when you're cutting the orange. Okay,
she had a great point there.
She doesn't like inefficiency. If you're going to cut a giant orange with the tiny paring knife, it's going to take you 4.5 hours.
Well, she's right, because I've done that before, and it's actually a stupid idea. Why are we using a paring knife for cutting an orange? And the way she delivers this to people is just different.
Now, there were a couple of areas that I need to talk about that I thought were quite interesting. First and foremost, she talks about her husband's 15-year affair. And early on that she has a smooch actually on her honeymoon in the Duomo with a man, a very handsome man. They were in an emotional moment. Okay. And she was like, it was nothing. The interviewer was like, was it naughty? Was it infidelity? She's like, it was nothing. Move on. And then they talk about the husband's 15-year extramarital affair, whatever the hell that was. And, she talks about how she would have never ended her marriage, she would have never ended her marriage for over this. But yet she also had a little dalliance with a gentleman during her. It was like she forgot there was an affair at one point, that she had a short affair with an Irish man. She
Yep.
described a handsome
But
Irish
she
man.
also said it wasn't worth ending my marriage over.
Mm-hmm.
She also said, there were a couple walkaway quotes that I just loved. She was like, ladies, if you are out there and your husband has or is cheating on him, leave him. He is a piece of shit. And I'm like, God, thank you.
How about when she talked about leaving, I think, jail, and I think this was the part, and she said she had to climb out of a fucking hole.
Verbatim. That's what she said. That is actually my favorite line of the whole movie. It's a movie. It's like an hour and a half. And
that's I think the metaphor of her experience.
Because her prison sentence was 5 months long and she was in the deep. She also was journaling. She's a diary keeper. She was keeping a diary, and she had a low point where she was like, does it even matter if I ever come out of here? Would it be better if I didn't? And they didn't use the word suicide, but you can tell that she was on the dark side. And then she eventually like made friends and supported, and her and other inmates got close, and they were showing each other how the crafts and the artisanal, talents that they had. She walked out of jail wearing a crocheted poncho that an inmate made for her. And she walked onto her boyfriend's private jet wearing heels and a prison poncho. And after that, that's when she had to dig herself out of that freaking hole.
But that was also the time when that was the moment for her, because, she walked into jail, Martha Stewart, but she walked out a person just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that was
not everyone else walks out of jail and hops on a private jet.
She was rubbing shoulders with regular people.
Yep.
And that changes you.
Yep.
And she was humbled. And she also was you connect with people as a form of survival. Like she had two choices. She could have been holed up in her room by herself and done nothing, or she could have leaned in. She leaned into it. She chose to figure it out. And I just want to say one other thing, because as a businesswoman, I think that she's brilliant. She talked about how she figured out, here's the deal. I talk to my kids about this all the time. I say, if you want to go into business, if you want to make something, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to figure out what is missing and make it yourself. And Martha Stewart was the queen of, and she said it, finding the void and filling it. Yep. She knew how to fill the hole with what was missing that people needed or wanted to make people's life better. And that to me is
how you build a business.
The essence of why Yeah.
Yes, that's when an entrepreneur begins to, make it happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When she said she had to dig herself out of a hole, I thought of how so many women can relate to that, and not just being a billionaire, then going to prison. I'm talking about anything, anything and everything.
Everything is a hole.
Everything's a hole.
Every
Whatever
struggle
your hole is, we all had to climb out
more than once
one.
For some people.
And if you're looking to get inspired, of course, talk to the other people in your life who've had to dig themselves out of a hole, but also press play on this documentary, watching her reinvent herself and live the life that she wants to. She has lived her life, and she's a very interesting mother figure as well. She is not the maternal mom. She would be a hard mom to have as a mom, but Martha Stewart is an enigma. She is iconic, and I'm thrilled that they showcased her, because I kind of always wondered, how the hell did Martha and Snoop end up at the Paris Olympics this past year? And you'll find out how and why. And that friendship is one of the coolest, most beautiful friendships I've ever witnessed as a faraway bystander. So cheers to Martha. Okay, well, that wraps up reading, watching, and listening to. Michelle, what are you doing for your own cozy, mindful well-being as we segue into the holiday season?
Yeah, and well, I already did it all weekend long, and I'm going to keep on doing it. It's just slowing down and hanging out with my girlfriends. I mean, that right there, cozy. It checked all the boxes.
All the boxes.
I don't need to say anything else.
I'm doing something similar, and I already mentioned it earlier. I am talking to myself as I would a friend going through a hard time that maybe is digging themselves out of a hole. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make myself go deeper within the hole. I'm going to claw my way out with my own bare fingers.
Literally your only choice.
Exactly. All right, you guys, it has been a pleasure chatting with you and getting cozy with you on this election day. We really do hope you are all doing well. If you're feeling overwhelmed, get outside, slow down, care a little less, do a little bit of nothing. And as always,
stay cozy, listener.
Thank you for joining us for today's cozy conversation. For more of The Sister Project, check us out on Instagram at The Sister Proj and our website, www.thesisterprojectblog.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and maybe even drop us a review. Until next time, stay cozy.